Jonathan Jones alongside Pete Prisco, alongside Dan Quinn, head coach of the Washington Commanders. Dan, we can't start without first, of course, congratulating you on being, according to the NFL Players Association survey, the top-ranked coach in all of the NFL. He got A+, high marks, number 1 out of 32. Congratulations.
Well, it's good to be on with you guys, man. I think probably what would fired me up more was seeing on that the treatment of the families, for the players and the importance of that. And knowing that the guys, indicated that to Adam and myself, and being able to go deliver that and him in return delivering, that's a big deal. And so for him, said, hey, man, I want to make this experience so strong for these people. They make a lot of sacrifice. So big shout out to him for that.
Pete, last year the Commanders, as you know, they were 32nd on that survey. This year they are 11th. And it's not just because of new ownership. It's not just because of some small tweaks here and there. They actually wanted to credit you and what you have done to help bring up that as well. And I know that you're giving credit elsewhere, but just for a moment, this past year, how important was it for you to rebuild the culture, to raise the standard there?
I think what you want to make sure, like going into any job, like the standard to me is, like, people often talk about like environment and culture, and I think they're so different. Environment is an attitude. I'm positive that is a way, but the culture is like, man, how do you get down every day together? And so what I loved about what the team took on was like, this is the important things for us. The way we practice, the standards they wanted, the way they communicate with one another, like that's the culture. And so to see that locker room growing stronger and stronger, and that's to me what I was like cool to be a part of, because I got to keep the guardrails on it to make sure, hey, these are some important things we all said, but that connection of players, man, like that's the best. And when you're part of a team that's really connected, like you feel it. Yeah. You can't put a number on it, but you know it, you feel it, and they had it.
It's usually coach quarterback. You now have a quarterback for the next decade. When did you know and see that he could be as good as he became as a rookie quarterback?
He's been remarkable. We never really talked about expectations, but I think he's the one that kind of defies those, to say he kept getting continuously better to go. The work ethic was there. I thought what I saw early was this unique blend of confidence and humility. And confidence meaning he had real belief how he could play, his skill work, but he also had a humility to earn the job. And so coming in, it was going to be about competition in our whole program. And so I didn't think 10 years from now we could say, well, Jayden had to work for it too. Why would it be any different for the next person to come? And I thought that was a step. And you know what? He was down for that. And he knew that, okay, I might take a few extra weeks, but in the long run, it'll be worth that. And but I saw, and the other players saw the humility and the work ethic, and then they saw how talented he was, how hard he worked at it. It was an easy person to get with because he was just so committed, Pete.
How do you prevent the sophomore slump? Not that it happens all the time. Maybe there's data to show that sophomore slump doesn't actually exist so much as we think it may exist. How do you prevent that from such an incredible year from Jayden?
I think that's probably why we don't use like expectations, because we're expecting him and all the other guys to like relentlessly go after it and get better, coaches included. And somewhere, I said today, I don't know where it is, but Bobby Wagner is doing things to get better. And if Wags has that attitude amongst our group, like every other person, that locker room and building should feel the same. And so those are the things that we want to absolutely go after, like growth and improvement. And so that's what Adam and I spent a lot of time talking about. Like, how are we going to get better? And so Jayden at the front of that is like, here's the things he's going to go after to get better. And that's kind of the fun part of coaching, man. Like when there's a group that's like, I want to get better at this. And when they're coming to you with those ideas, man, that's when coaching is the best, because this is what I think, as opposed to you leading the way. You need to get better at this. You need to get, when they have their own investment in that, you know it's going to happen. And now, like, how do we help make that happen?
For you, the process was probably sped up a little bit. I mean, I can't imagine you went into last season thinking we were going to go as deep as we were. And now the expectations are now built around that. How do you handle that as a coach and try and level that off a little bit?
You know, it was important being here because last year at this time, I didn't know what I didn't know about our team. I hadn't even met them yet. And so I didn't know what a commander was. We had a picture, Adam and I did, of what we wanted it to look like. We had a vision for it, but now we got to see that and to say these are the style and the attitudes of what we want, and so that's what we want to build on, and we want to add to that crew of guys who are just absolutely not going to back off and go for it. And that'll be some returning free agents, that'll be the development of the players on the roster, and then guys that we're meeting with here. There'll be some players that we'll add on, and we don't treat the rookies, oh, they're rookies. Like, our guys played important, impactful snaps, but when they walk in the door, they're not, oh, don't worry about it, it's a rookie. Like, we're counting on them to take the step, and the other players there know that. And so that's a cool part of our building. Like, we're not into like hazing or, like that. Like, no, man, they're here to help us win, and like, it's everybody's job to help all of us get on the same page together. If you walked into our building, man, like last year I said, you can ask anybody. This is how we do things. This is how we get down. And so, rookie, 10-year player, it's all the same. It's a matter of like how quickly we can get the guys to do their thing.
Last time we saw you guys on the field, game was getting away from you against the Philadelphia Eagles. They obviously go on to win the Super Bowl in very, very convincing fashion.
Yes.
Do you compare your group to the reigning Super Bowl champs and what you are maybe lacking or needing to take that next step?
Excellent, especially in the postseason. And they played fantastic. When you're hitting on all sides, that's when you're at your best. We don't make a comparison just to one group. There's so many games you have to win. And I think that's a dangerous slope to go on if you, okay, we got to get bigger in this, you'll get big, but you'll lose some speed when you have to need it. So you want to make sure we need to build a team that suits us and how we go and do things. So offensively, we play a lot of no huddle, and that's one of our edges more than anybody else, but we also need to continue to supplement that with guys that can attack, that get down the field. Same thing defensively. So fitting the style, that's the thing, and not trying to be anybody else, but be yourself, really rock solid. And but man, like, give them credit. Like, their run was excellent. I know what that can look like at the end of a postseason, and I certainly was impressed. In the Super Bowl, not only just the whole team, but the attitude, the physicality. Like, it was rock solid.
There you have it, Dan Quinn. Thanks so much for the time.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, good to be on with you, man.
Thanks.
Coach Quinn, if every single NFL head coach were to do the bench, who would win?
Ooh, I got to go with Mike Vrabel right now, I think.
I don't know if Vrabel's the leader in the clubhouse or Dan Campbell.
Yes. There's only two.
What about D'Amico?
Yeah, maybe there's three. Right. You have any others?
McVay got 2 votes.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to
Yeah.
you. Nobody said Dan Quinn.
I know it. I didn't say my name either.
Can you bench?
Yes.
How many reps do you think you can push out?
5.
All right, that's not bad. The Browns general manager, Andrew Berry, said he could get 12. All right.
Prove it.
All right, let's
That should be your next segment, that you go on.
Who amongst NFL coaches does the best job of sweet-talking the refs?
I don't know if it's sweet talking, but I feel like Mike Tomlin has some secret sauce that gets spread over his way, and so I'd like to know a little bit more about that. I don't know if it's sweet talking though, because he's got that deep voice, so like I don't think it would come across as sweet, but I think he might have a little spell.
I think he throws the dictionary at them, is what he does.
Like he's spitting out some stuff that like none of us can.
Raheem said the same thing.
Did he
actually.
really?
Yep.
Yeah, it's not him
All
and I. Our Jersey background, no way.
If you were on the way to the stadium and got a flat tire, which of your players would you call first to come help?
Man, that's a good question because I'm not good at changing, so I know they got to have that skill.
They have to have a jack
They
in
got to
the
have
car.
a jack. Yeah, I think it'd be like a center, like somebody who's like really prepared. I would go Nick Allegretti. He's a guard, but I feel like he doesn't miss things. So I would say like Nick, like he has a truck. I feel like he's the guy.
You've coached amazing players in your career, but if you could have coached any one retired player in the history of the NFL, who's somebody you would have loved to have coached?
Man, isn't that awesome? There's so many cool guys, Reggie White.
Okay.
I think I would have liked to coach him to see what that looked like up close every day. And that type of skill, that type of attitude. Lawrence Taylor was my favorite player growing up, so I'd say those two, maybe if we put them on the same team, that would have been pretty cool.
According to Coach Belichick, LT also caused a lot of stress.
Yeah, That's
So-
yeah, you got to live with that some days. But he was absolutely my favorite player growing up in New Jersey, and the Giants were my favorite team. So I don't know why I didn't say him first, but Reggie White and him, I would say, would be the two.
And if you were not an NFL coach, what would your profession be?
I would be in the military. I went to college as a teacher, so I think I'm going to take that one off the table because I think you could probably take the word coach out and insert teacher in,
Yep.
and it'll fit. But I love being part of a team, and so I think that's where my calling probably would have been to do that.
Awesome.
That's it. All right. You got it, guys. Have a good one.